Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival 2021 Q&A. I'm Kathy Kareem, founder of Caribbean movie company Storyplay TV. Thank you so much for joining us. This year, our full program will be screened online from September 20, well, started on September 22nd, and we're going to go until September 28th. Our new media exhibition is available online and in person at Grandison Lab, Belmont. That's this Friday, today, and tomorrow, Saturday the 25th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Feel free to comment and ask your questions. Bring your questions, and we'll try to squeeze them into the session. And of course, don't forget that you can check out all the films that we're going to talk about today at ttfilmfestival.com. We have to thank our TTFF 21 sponsors and partners. NGC is our signature sponsor this year, and we have leading sponsorship from Shell Trinidad and Tobago and Republic Bank Limited. We have contributing sponsorship from NLCB and supporting sponsorship from Sport and Culture Fund. Enough about that. Let's get to the films. Today I have with me the makers of La Dama, Blanca, which is a Curacao film, Hester Jonkhout, and Gus Dessain. I have the makers of Love in 7 Movements, Juliette McCawley, our very own from Trinidad and Tobago. We have the maker of Rex, who is Marc Bipa. He's also from Trinidad. The film is also from Trinidad. We have the maker of Galavant, Alexander Johnston. He's with us. And this is also a Trinidadian film. Cheesecake. We have a lot of Trinis represented in this group. And Cheesecake is made by Jabari Daniel, and he's another Trini. He's the director of Cheesecake. Maybe one day, another Trini short by Riyad Rahman. Yeah. And we have The Passenger, yet another Trini short by Kirk and Kavita. Kirk, Budhooram, and Kavita, Ganness. We also, do we have Emil with us? Emil? No, we don't have Emil with us. So also available to watch today is Beguiling Visions, which is a Belizean film by Emil Mena. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. I'm excited to talk to you about your films. I'd like to kick it off by having everyone answer a similar question. Films are really collaborative, and I want to know who on your cast or crew do you think you want to shout out as somebody who really shined on this project? You have to pick one person that isn't you, that's either cast or crew, who you think really shine on this project, and you just want to shout them out. Let's start with you, Juliette.
Hi, thanks for having me. And this is easy. Dion Bucco from Pixel Play Media. He is my savior. I was desperate to do a film. COVID was going on. I was going to have actors use 4 cell phones. He's like, I have a green screen. I have cameras. Let's just do it. Let's just try a thing. We try and be safe. And yeah, he shot it for me. He helped me out. He did help me with the post-production, which was extremely difficult and extremely extensive. And all kinds of things happened, in between in the making of, and he was my hero. So I cannot thank him enough.
Big up Dion.
Big up Dion, yeah.
Lovely. Hester?
Yes, well, I say Laura, and Gus says the actress Rina. Laura is the writer who transcribed the play, and besides always being there and always giving her support in the writing process, she also stood by Rina during filming, because Laura is also an actress, and Laura and Rina go way back. And our actress is over 90, and she's 93. And Laura is always super supportive, and she's just always there. So I say Laura, and you say Rina?
Yeah, the actress is 93. Next month she is 94, and
wow.
she's beautiful acting. I don't know if you see the film already, La Dama Blanca.
Yes, I have.
Yeah? Well,
And I agree completely. She was amazing.
yeah, every second you can see what she thinks, what she feels on her face. There are a lot of close-ups. And
No.
I know her for 40 years already. And yeah, it's a great happiness to work with her.
Well, I agree with you both. I've seen the film, and the dialogue and the writing really impressed me, as well as the performances. So, shout out to your lead actress. What's her name again?
Rina Pencil.
Rina.
Yes. And
Shout out to Rina and Laura. I wrote down Laura's name because I was so impressed by the writing. Kavita and Kirk. Who on your cast and crew would you like to shout out?
Well, today we were the cast and crew for The Passenger. So, but I mean, I would like to shout out Kavita because I mean, she took the lead, she played the double role, and she really carried the movie from beginning to end. So definitely, Kavita Ganness.
Kavita gave us an Eddie Murphy kind of thing where she was playing different roles and all of that. It was wonderful. All right, congratulations, Kavita. I agree. You both did a great job, and Kavita, you shined. Excellent work. Let's talk to you, Marc.
I'd like to shout out Daniel Batiste. He's the star of the film, and he did a great job from start to finish, and he even produced it. So, Daniel.
Nice, Danielle. Shout out, Danielle. Wonderful. Okay, so next, let's talk to Jabari.
Honestly, that's a really hard question for me because the entire cast and crew were just so amazing. But if I had to, select one person, I'd probably select my great friend, Israel Ramjan. He was the guy that did the cinematography, the editing, and he was also the co-writer for the project. And, from start to finish, he was the guy that I approached with the idea, and we ran straight through it, straight to the end. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with Israel.
All right. So it was a hard choice. Nobody else got offended, but Israel takes the crown. We're gonna shout out Israel. I actually wrote his name down as well because I was really impressed by the editing. So you guys are picking some of my favorites in your cast and crew as well. Riyadh. Is it Riyadh this left? Or Kirk?
No, I'm here.
Okay. We did Kirk and Kavita, so Riyadh, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes, no? I heard somebody answer. I don't see anything. All right, apologies about that, Riyadh. If you're in the group and I'm missing you, huge apologies. So we had quite a few love stories in this group of films. I want to talk to, that's La Dama Blanca, Love in 7 Movements, Wrecked. I want to talk to you guys, starting with you, Juliette. Are you a romantic?
I am very much so. I'm an optimist, eternal optimist, and it's really funny because a lot of the lines in the film are actually from past experiences, and then when the actors, at least two of the actors, said like, "Were you spying on my life? Like this is like so things that happened to me or things that I have said and done and thought," and it's like, "Well, cool, yeah, I'm on the right track." But yeah, I'm very much a romantic. I believe in love, and that's why the love ends and happens, starts again. It's all part of a love cycle we all go through sometimes. But yes, very much so.
It shows in your film, Hester.
Well, I don't think I'm that romantic. You'd have to ask my husband. But I was really there to bring a lot of structure to the story and from play to film. But I guess Gus is a quite romantic type. Yeah, he's the one who started out with the play back in the 80s. And when I saw it, I told him, you have to make a film out of it because it's so compelling, and the story of this lady and the humor of the butler, it had such a surprising element. So so the three of us worked on it to transform it into a film script. Yes.
Well, I'm not surprised that Gus, you're a romantic, because there's even an intertextual reference in the film where you reference Shakespeare, romance, Juliette and Romeo and Juliet. So it's like romance on romance on romance. So I'm not surprised at all. Marc, are you a romantic, Marc?
I don't consider myself to be. Wrecked isn't really a romance. It's about the stages of grief, but I'm glad that's
why
what
is
you
the protagonist grieving?
I suppose that the girlfriend is just
Love.
it symbolizes grief, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
But it wasn't my intention to make it a love story, but I don't really consider myself to be a romantic.
I hear you. Well, I think that even if it wasn't your intention, it definitely, the grieving came across, and the reason that the protagonist was grieving was love. So I maybe because I'm a romantic, I found the love in your story.
That's good. That's good that everyone can take away their own interpretation.
Absolutely. So Alexander, I didn't give you a chance to shout out your cast and crew, did I?
No, you forget.
Oh, I could do that, boy. I'm so sorry. Let's do it. Who on your cast and crew would you like to shout out?
No, but I definitely want to shout out the actor Felipe. Well, who people call People Man, for reasons you can interpret on your own. Yeah, but he was definitely great. In terms of me nagging him to make sure that we get this film done, because I was like, I want you in this film. You're a big TikTok star, and obviously it's done, and now I'm happy about it.
Yes, and it was so funny too. So I think that's a perfect segue, because now I want to talk about the comedy in some of these films. So Galavant, super funny. Do you think that COVID was a teaser to bring out your funny bone in this?
I think COVID was more of a challenge, right? Because comedy is my forte, but then when you're in lockdown, how do you find the comedy being in an isolated space? Where's the humor when there's so much going on all around you? The usual things that tickle your funny bone are no longer there. So how are you finding the comedy in these isolated spaces? And I think Galavant was that outlet for me.
It made me laugh. As soon as I saw the KFC on the beaches, I was like, oh, it was really good. Kavita and Kirk, y'all had me laughing too. You see when the driver started to sell him masks? I was like, this is over. It was so funny. So do you think that for you, COVID was a teaser to bring out comedy?
Yes, I think it was, because we wanted to make this film, especially about the mask, but we were looking for something short, and we always like comedy because we think we can give the message without preaching, and of course it attracts the audience. So I think yes, for sure, it did bring out the comedy in this. Yes,
he did it so well too. So of course we can't talk comedy without talking about Cheesecake, Jabari. You see, Badao? Oh Lord, it got a little bit scandalous in my house when Badao came on. Badao. And there was also, I think, a moment when one of the supporting characters was laughing really, giving us a really kind of sketchel kind of laugh.
Yeah,
and the editor cut right on that laugh. And he opened up his mouth really large. You could see all inside his mouth, and then the editor cut right on that. Those two moments were some of the most memorable comedic moments for me. Talk about COVID and whether or not it helped or hurt the comedy in the film for you.
Well, because everything was shot and done during COVID, it was just, we had already been in that process already. So, it wasn't anything about COVID making it better. We were at that point because everything was already shot and we were already in the editing room. I think that's when we decided to have a little bit of fun with it. So even that scene that you're talking about, to me, that was cool as well, because I really have to give a shout out to Israel again for that one. And when I saw it the first time, I was like, nah, this is it. And my song designer, Rashad, he did an excellent job with it as well too.
Yes, the sound was really, 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 really good, particularly in the opening scene.
Yeah.
With the cheesecake, the sound was really like distinctly good in that scene. And all throughout the film, of course. So yeah, interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I want to dig in a bit to La Dama Blanca. You don't mind, Hester and Gus? So one of my questions about your film is about the locations. And how typical is that plantation style house in Curacao?
Yeah, it's a very typical type of house, mansion. And actually it has all to do with the big oil company Shell, which was here, the refinery. There are a couple of, say, villages. They used to be closed for the upper personnel who worked at the refinery. This area is also right next to the refinery. So you'll find if people come from Curacao, they'll distinctly know, okay, that is Emma Stad. That is that area called. They'll know that house must be in Emma Stad because all the houses there have that typical design.
So if anybody in the audience is into like locations and architecture, or even if you just like to see places that feel like home, I think you'll like to see the spaces in La Dama Blanca, because one of the things that was so cool is that I've never been to Curacao, and the furniture and the style of the place, even the art, all of it just felt so us. So I think that's something that if you are in the audience and you're listening to this Q&A and you haven't seen the package of films available yet today, I think that's something that you would enjoy in La Dama Blanca. Kavita and Kirk. Can you talk to us about the moral of your film? Because there's a message in it, and I'd like you to talk to us about that.
You want to take that though? No, go ahead. Okay, actually, well, at the time that we were filming it, and it was about late last year, right? It was around November 2020. There was this big thing going around the country. Yes, we have to wear our masks, but of course, a lot of people, they were still getting accustomed to it. Some went it down here, some went it all that, and had a lot of jokes about wearing the mask. So the moral of the film, yes, for us, we were in the COVID time, right? And we were looking to do something based on the COVID, to try to get a positive message out there. And we really wanted people to see that there's nothing to play with. The mask does help, and it's something very important. And at that time, this was before, I really was here, before the vaccines and stuff. So we were really focusing on the wearing of the mask in that video.
Right. So what we have in a narrative film is an opportunity to have public health education in a very funny format where we're advocating for people to mask up.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely, yes.
And I think you definitely achieved that. Thank you for sharing that. So I'd like to go to, let's see, Riyadh. No, not Riyadh. Sorry, false alarm Riyadh, because Riyadh isn't here. But who we want to talk to is the maker of Wrapped, who is Marc. Marc, so every good short film, I think, in my biased opinion, has a twist, because that's just something that a lot of good short films have. Your film had a very interesting twist. Tell us how it came about.
Yeah, so I wrote the movie, And I wrote a movie with that twist in mind. And so I started from that twist and I worked my way back. And that's how it came about.
Well, I think you did a brilliant job. I was particularly impressed with the way that you sort of hinted at the twist, like when they were eating cereal and she, you know, and so she's just like, well, you're eating cereal and she's not eating anything. And so we start to get those little hints that maybe she's not really there. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the film, there's a big twist at the end. But I think you did a great job with that. So how long did it take you to write, Marc?
I started writing from the coronavirus. I was really inspired by so many people losing loved ones that I started to think about the families and not just people dying. So people were passing away, and I thought about how does that affect the families and the grief that they'll go through. And so I felt as though it was really important to make. It's really dark. And so I took about, I started in March and I would have finished in August. And so the week I finished, we shot it within a week. And then it took me about 6 months to edit because it was really difficult to edit. And yeah, it was really difficult to edit. I didn't think I'd release the film, but
you did. You did, and it's a fantastic film. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Jabari, Cheesecake.
I'm here. Go for it.
Have you ever been scammed?
Yes.
You have been scammed. So was Cheesecake from personal experience of you or somebody else on the crew?
Nope.
Okay. Completely fictional.
Nah.
Were you able to draw on your experience of how you felt when you were scammed when you were working with the actors?
Nope. Like, it wasn't from my personal experience or anything like that. It was from other people's experiences, and I personally know certain people that this sort of thing has happened to, and it's a very big and prevalent issue at the moment. So it was one of those things that kind of low-key touches on it, but the message is sort of, I won't say watered down, but it's more palatable for a wider audience to enjoy the film while still take note of these issues as well.
A warning against pyramid schemes, etc.
Yeah.
Would you say? Okay, so be careful what you're doing business with and who you're doing business with. That's the moral of the story here.
Well, and it's also kind of about the cost of ambition. You know, like how far are you willing to do something? What would you do for a slice of cheesecake?
What would you do for a slice of cheesecake? I want anybody listening to go home and think about that. Look in your mirror and ask yourself, what would you do for a slice of cheesecake? Alexander, Galavant, how did you generate the idea of the app that takes you places? Because it was such a brilliant device for like exploring the captivity of COVID, you know, like it was just brilliant, like the whole mobile app idea. How did that emerge?
I definitely think there were days in lockdown where you get lost in an app and then you look up and you're like, oh, 3 hours passed. I like and this had to be some kind of zombie, you know. So I definitely envision falling into technology, into a place where you can't tell what's real or if you are actually just in this virtual world because you're trying to escape all the madness that's going on around.
I see like a Black Mirror type series in your future.
Thank you. I appreciate that because big
Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Twilight Zone, Black Mirror, because yes, you did it. You had that whole you know, embedding the social experience, the social experience of what we're going through in these times into this device of the app.
And the thing about it too is that I'm a writer, right? So like dialogue is my strong suit. Like I love writing narrative. And this was a film where I'm like, yeah, there's no dialogue because when you're in lockdown, nobody's talking. You're only talking to your app or whatever you type in. And like that was the framework that I set out. I'm like, I'm gonna write a film that has no speaking.
And you did it. You did it. So we started this panel with bigging up somebody on your team who you were really impressed with. And so now I want you to flip the script and point the mirror at yourself and tell me one thing that you're really proud of that you achieved in this film, in your role. Juliette.
Well, that's a tough one. But I would say that this is one of the hardest projects I had to do because like push creativity when you're in a kind of a void of lockdown. That was hard, and then find the motivation to beg people to come and be on board in difficult times, and with no budget or anything, and people saying yes. But every stage with it, I had to really push myself to like keep going. And different obstacles and things came up, and I'm like, this film is so different than anything I've ever done and from anything I've ever seen. It's like I didn't even know will this even work, and the people who saw it or were in it, they pushed me. And so I guess what I learned from this film is just having tenacity and just getting your stories out there. And yeah, you'll find an audience somewhere, and everybody I think who was part of the project, we all learned. So I'm glad I kept going and have something to share now.
It definitely worked. It was such a nice not rom-com, I would say rom-com, like heavy on the rom with a little bit of com. Right? It was such a nice rom-com, and it was interesting to see the green screens and how you played with the characters. Great job. I think the tenacity paid off.
Thank you.
Hester, what are you proud of? Hester and Gus.
Yeah. What are you proud of, Gus, of the film, of yourself, your part, what you did?
Yes, I'm very proud that from a play from 87, that's the first time I improvised with other actors, with a play. In 2016, I come back to Curaçao, and they asked me for an improvisation, and that I do with Rena, the actress, and another actor. And film producer saw it. He said, and she saw it, and you must make a movie from that. And that is my first Bioscope cinema movie.
Theater, yeah, movie theater.
Yeah, and I was very proud. The whole crew. I worked with Hester 4 years already. We did 2 courses acting for the camera, and that was a beautiful exercise to make this movie.
Congratulations on your big screen debut.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And you, Hester?
Yeah, well, I'm very proud of the visual style, which I achieved with making it cinematographic, but very simple, but very effective. And yeah, the DP part, I'm very proud of.
It was a beautiful film. You should be proud. Every shot looks like it belonged in a photo book. You did a fantastic job. Kavita and Kirk, what are you proud of?
Well, I'll answer this. Right. I want to say that for me, I am so proud that, my husband and I, we were able to actually complete this project in COVID. We had on the mask, we did not have on the mask. We were worried that, suppose we were charged, in the filming of this, getting it right. I'm a teacher also at Belmont Secondary School, a full-time teacher. And it was a joy to share this little video with all my students. I teach all the Form 4s, all the Form 5s, all the Form 2s, and all these students, they some of them have this belief that, COVID is not real. Some of them still believe that because, they don't have anybody who were, affected by it. And, just seeing how serious this could be, I was glad I was able to contribute that kind of awareness to especially the youth, like my students, right? So that's basically it. That's what I'm proud of.
And you should be proud of it. You should be proud of that. That's a fantastic thing to be proud of. Okay, so we're going to go. We have 3 more answers to get. Marc,
I'm sorry, I missed the question. I kind of had some technical difficulties.
No problem. What are you proud of in terms of what you achieved in this film?
Oh, that's easy. I'm proud of completing it. I spent 6 months in post-production for a 9-minute film, and I edited. And that was just a lot of procrastination. Because I had to go through some difficult personal circumstances during that period of time. So I'm really proud, and I think the cast and crew are really glad that we eventually released it because they worked hard on it, and I kind of owed it to them to complete the project and finish what I started, and I did. And I'm self-critical of it, of course, all the time, but at the end of the day, it's there, and it's there for everybody to make their own interpretations on.
It's there, and it's an official selection of ttff 21. Big up yourself, boy.
Sure.
You did it. Alexander, talk to us.
Yeah, well, Christmas almost here, Parang. Look out for Galavant Parang edition.
Oh, man.
I'm going from house to house.
What you proud of, boy? Why are you Parang?
So I definitely, just touching on what I said earlier, I'm definitely proud of, moving into a space of, you think of film as, in terms of my writing, moving from a space of being very heavily dialogue to moving to a space of, what are the parameters, what are the other spaces that I can carry a film in because of my limitations. I'm definitely proud that the film takes on that new space. I'm definitely proud of my editor, who we call Moose, Felipe the actor, Romario helped us out. I'm definitely proud of them for taking the initiative with me because I had this vision. I'm definitely proud of completing the project because these are challenging times. And that's about it. Yeah.
All great things to be proud of. And don't forget me when you're big and you have your Twilight Zone movie. Last but not least, Jabari Cheesecake. What are you proud of?
So this actually takes me back before the events of Cheesecake. I'm actually proud of myself for meeting so many great people. And I'm proud of myself for bringing together this project with all my great friends and working with them to make something very synergistic, very cohesive, in a way that works, in a way that's entertaining and enjoyable. I'm really proud of myself for meeting these people. That's why I said it takes me all the way back. I'm super grateful for my cast, my crew, production, and post-production, everyone.
Teamwork makes a dream work.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much to all these filmmakers. Thank you for making these films. I feel so privileged that I was able to watch them. And thank you to everyone in our audience for joining us for this Q&A. Don't forget that you can still catch all of these great films because they're screening all day. Check out ttfilmfestival.com, and you want to look for the calendar. That's where you can find all the information about where to buy tickets. And definitely check out the films that are coming up as well, from tomorrow all the way through to the 28th. If you're hungry for more films after the festival, definitely please check out storyplay.tv. I am Kathy Kareem, and I want to wish you a wonderful TTFF 21 and best of luck to our filmmakers. And I hope that the audience continues to enjoy this year's festival.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Bye. Appreciate you.